Good morning, my beautiful mamas. I'm still in Arizona and I'm walking. Again, I love my walks here in Arizona. The kids have such a beautiful park nearby, and right next to the park is a community church that just has such a great spirit about its campus. And at Christmas time, they light up the entire campus with Christmas, with beautiful scenes, and they even have scenes of the birth of Christ, and they even have a light show that, the ones they do to music. So I'm actually going to attend this congregation this week. I just love to see more of what they do and be a part of it. And so I'm excited about that. But today, since I talked to you last time, I've been thinking about, we talked about mourning and movement, and I've been thinking about mourning quite a bit. And I'm wondering if you are like me, maybe you understand grieving and mourning to be the same thing. That is what I always assumed. But as I was studying mourning years ago, I learned that actually the two are very different. And as I have studied that, both just like books about grief, but also in scripture, I've learned that grieving is when we keep all of our feelings inside, when we are it's just all the things we're feeling and thinking about our grief, the meaning that we're making of it, and it just gets trapped inside. And I have had people say, oh my goodness, it's been years since my loss and I'm not feeling any better. And often that's because they have not they haven't mourned, they've only grieved. So mourning is getting your grief out. So even walking is one way to get it out. But there's really powerful ways to get your grief out so that you can have space to heal. Some examples would be to maybe you have regrets. You have some things you wish you would have been able to do or say to your child. And so I had that with my son. Maybe I'll talk more about that in another video, but I wrote him a letter. And said all the things that I didn't get to say to him at the hospital. And so that got some of my grief out. I have a friend who kickboxes. Oh, we talked about that last time. Yeah, to get our grief out. So yeah, we've kind of covered the movement part. Art, anything in the artistic space is helpful for that. I made little penny jars that had a poem about pennies from heaven after my son died. That's been one of my things. Every time I see a penny, I think of him. And oftentimes I'll see them at a perfect time in a random place. And I'm just reminded, he's watching over me. He is still very much a part of my life. And there's just a ton of different ways to get your grief out. And how you know if you're mourning is that it is involving one of your senses. It's involving, maybe you're listening to something that causes you to cry. Maybe you're making something with your hands. It involves talking it out. I know some people like to get a walking buddy because who feels like going for a walk? I mean, it takes some effort when you're in the middle of feeling the grief so heavy, but I know of some people who have found a walking buddy who will just show up at the time they plan, and they'll go and they're willing to just listen to all your words, getting your grief out. There's a million ways to do it, but just understanding that grieving and mourning is different is really powerful. That's how we get stuck in grief. That's how we don't move forward, is when we're only grieving and we're keeping it all on the inside. So that's just my words for today. I love you. Go do some mourning. You'll feel better, I promise.